Well, this is the colony that I caught out of the trees. It was one of my first swarms, and it came from one of my hives, the eye-wave hive. It's been almost 3.5 weeks, and I've been feeding them sugar, 1 part sugar to 1 part water, about 4 times now. Yep, that's one beetle. And a lot of these are just open frames, no foundation. I took the burr comb that they started when I left them in the box for the first couple days, and I framed it up. And it looks like they adhered it to the frames very well. And they're starting to fill it up with nectar, or maybe that's sugar water. And there's more of the nectar. And there's some pollen, all that orange stuff. Wow, look at all that brood. And this comb is so fresh, it has no support on the bottom or the sides. So I'm using my hive tool to keep it from falling out of the frame. Beautiful. Wow, another one. And it looks like they got a little bit of nectar in between the brood frames. And there is the queen, marked with a green dot for this year. Ain't she a beauty? That's the third frame brood. Ain't that pretty? She's doing marvelous. And this looks like the end of the brood. It's getting a little lighter. Frame number 4. That's 4 frames of brood so far. Nope, she's still got more. That's 5. Look at that. If that was a full sheet, it could be 2 frames of bees, maybe 3. So I guess it'll be a frame and a half, maybe, when they hatch out. So I guess it's time for a new box. What's that, number 6? Alright, that's the end of the brood. And here's a little piece of the burr comb that I stuck on a frame. Yep, they're filling that with nectar too. So adorable. Well, I'm going to put in some foundation this time. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an experiment with my waxing techniques and see which one works out best. This method is going to be using the wax and dabbing it on after I've melted it slightly. I'm even going to dribble a little bit up to the top. Maybe get the bees excited about filling this out with good comb. Now for the other experiment, I'm just going to rub it right on the frames. I'm not going to use the side that hasn't been melted. And I found out if you do melt it just a tad, it rubs on a whole lot easier than this. But I'm going to rub it on extra heavy. So which one of these is going to be drawn out the best without wonky comb? We'll just have to come back and check out later. And I'm also going to try a couple frames untouched, right from the factory. Whatever they put on is what they're going to get. Which one do you think is going to work the best? And I'm going to feed these bees, because I want them to draw out all kinds of wax. And I'm going to alternate these. 2 different spots. And I'm going to put a couple of frames that the bees are on. This one they have already filled up with a little bit of nectar. I'm going to put it in between these 2. And I'm going to alternate it a little bit. I'm going to put some brood frame right here. That way that each type of frame has a chance of being drawn out perfectly. Yep, 10 frames. Good to go. Now this is also a glass hive. That way I can take a look at it. It looks like either the hive that I made or the box underneath was a little bit out of wonky. See the bees on those 2 dark frames? Got a little burr comb from the last time they were on here. Going to use this rapid round feeder. It holds about 2 liter container full of sugar water. A little squish to get that little last bit of sugar that didn't get dissolved. And I'm figuring this should take about 2 or 3 days before they completely eat all this up. And then we can take a look to see how they're doing. Now to keep the sun out, I'm going to use this double bubble. It's got the big bubbles in it. And I'm going to follow the little pattern here and cut it right down that seam there. And that should keep the sunlight out. And I got some of this Velcro. I'm going to use this to hold the bubble together. About that much work. It has an adhesive on the back. I'm going to apply one on the end here. And once that's done, I'm going to apply the other strip to it. That way I don't have to line them up just right. It'll do it for me. I'm going to wrap this around the box, pull her nice and tight, and press it down. And that'll be the spot where this tape's going to come together. Looky, looky. Perfect. That should hold it in place. I'm going to cut this little bit of extra off. And that should keep the sun out and the bees happy. I don't know if it's really going to insulate it too well because it's got a lot of gaps. I'm going to put on my hive top cover, and we should check back later and see how they're doing. Thanks for watching.